Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the August 4th Riverfront Design Review Committee. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Anthony Blatt.
Here.
Scott Howard. Brian Doherty. Paul Dedman. John Joyce.
Here.
Don Casperite.
Here.
Jillian Robles. Richie Split. David Yost. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Second item on the agenda is approval of the July 7 minutes. Those minutes are included in your packet.
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Dedman and second by Mr. Doherty. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Third item on the agenda is cases that are withdrawn, and there are none. Item number 4 is continuance requests, and there are none. Items under number 5, the consent docket, are SRCA 14-00002, and item at 800 Riversport Drive in the Regatta District, and item B is SRCA 1600013 at 1730 West Reno Avenue in the Farmers Market District. Would you like to present these, or are there any comments on that?
The first case at the for the bike pump track, sorry that one is hard to say, is a revision to the Whitewater facility project that you have seen probably more than once over a span of a couple, 3 years. Originally at that location there was a parking lot which was an option in their bid packet. It had been cleared for a parking lot in that area, which is what we're looking at, and obviously it's been developing the various buildings out there. And because it is a park and because of the size, it had to come back to you for approval. So this shows you kind of where this is being plugged into. The only change from what the last time you've seen it is the parking lot went all the way down. This parking lot is not in because it's still optional. It's just been cleared. And we've had a lot of discussions. We do have a representative in the audience if you needed to pull this for actual discussion if you had questions. But staff, as you can tell from the staff report, we're recommending approval of this revision to allow this use to be included there.
If there are no questions or comments or requests for individually pulling, I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent docket.
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Dedman, second by Mr. Howard. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, so did that just include both items on the consent docket?
Since that was a motion for the whole consent docket, that would have been both items.
I only asked because there's someone for the other item, and I told him as soon as consent docket got approved, he could leave and didn't have to sit through the rest of the meeting, so his item was approved. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 6, cases for individual consideration, SRCA 1600009 at 1117 and 125 Exchange Avenues in the Stockyard District. Would you like to introduce this one?
Let me get to, this is a request for some signage that's already been painted and some signage that's not up yet. As you see, we actually have 4 pieces, A, B, C, and D. I got confused, so I had to make it clearer for me. There was a sign painted on the north wall of this building for quite some time ago, and the person that painted that showed up not that long ago and just kind of assumed that they could refresh it and put the new business on it. And so what you're looking at is the new business that's there, Vintage Reclaimed Lumber Company, and this is the sign that's been painted on the brick. In addition, one of the other items is the address, which is item number C. And the reason typically you don't see an address, but because it's larger than 4 square feet, they're going to need a sign permit for it per development services. So I had to include that as one of the pieces of the puzzle that you needed to consider. Additionally, they have a sign that they want to put on here. This is just a temporary banner, and this is the street frontage. So when you're at the intersection of that wonderful intersection, which is Reno and Western and Exchange, and you look kind of southwest, you can actually see it from there. They indicated to us they're having a really hard time helping people find them, because that is a really odd intersection. And as I indicate in the staff report, it's going to be made even worse when the Exchange intersection with Reno is going to be eliminated when they do the boulevard work. That's part of the whole, there's going to be a lot of work done in that area, which means you're not going to be able to go south there, and they're going to have to turn Exchange into two-way, and it's going to be a dead-end street, so they're going to have to come from the south. So visibility is an issue for them. I assumed that it was a destination-based business, in which case everybody's going to know where they need to go. But apparently they do have a % of their business which is impulse, somebody driving in that area and they stop. And they're trying to capture that. So we have all the industrial uses in that area, and they're really close to the farmers market. I went through, how we determined how large the signage is that they can have, and it's based on their frontage on the street, no matter where they're putting the sign. And so when you have a building that's only 50 foot wide, they're only allowed 165 square foot of signage, which all 4 of these apply toward that 165 square feet. So they're over the limit. So as I said, here's the sign. And I acknowledge in the staff report it's very well done. It looks very crisp, very bright. But the whole thing is considered a sign, and it's at least twice as large as the original one that was there. This is the custom sign that they have built. It's not installed yet, that they want to put on the front of the building, which is going to look really nice and actually advertise what they do. And then that is the address that they need the approval for. They also have signage they put on the door, and that it's just thrown in. It's definitely below the threshold of having to come to you, but it's all part of the whole package. This is a picture of what used to be painted on that north wall for the business that was there for a very long time, Brown Machinery Company. And it was very dated and needed a facelift at the time the guy stopped, because it hadn't been refreshed in quite a while. But you can see that the new one goes down further on the building and goes back to the west more. And then the address was painted here on this kind of looks like a column because it sticks out of the building. And then they're wanting to put the wood here on the front. It had a blade sign on it for a long time. I don't know how long ago that was taken down. And this is just he had to go out and take the dimensions for me, so I included that in the packet, and that's how I came up with the size of the sign. So let me go back. We have a bunch of options for you, which I've outlined. I've never done a staff report that had this many options, so I'm going to go through them so we can. The first recommendation from staff deals with signs B, C, and D. Signs B, C, and D are the sign on the door, the address, and the proposed wood custom sign to go on the street frontage. And staff is recommending approval of those. Then we have a bunch of possible options for what has been painted on the north wall. One is to approve it with the condition that they go to the Board of Adjustment for an increase in allowable sign area. And it's a very large increase in allowable sign area. And then if that's the one you choose, then you have to do a separate motion to provide a recommendation to the Board of Adjustment on that. Another option would be to approve the application for sign A, to revise the sign on the north facade to eliminate the flag portion, paint over that the same color as the brick, or as closely matching the brick as possible, and then go to the Board of Adjustment and get a variance for that reduced sign. So it would just be the top part that's in black with the white, so eliminating the flag. So that would dramatically reduce the size of the sign on that wall. Another option is that you recommend approval of sign A with the condition that he revise the sign by removing the words, everything in black and white, paint the whole thing as a flag, and that makes the whole thing a mural. And if it's a mural, then we would just have to go through the Arts Commission process and then come back before you to approve a mural. But it can't have any of the sign, no words on it, if that's the case. And then your fourth option is to deny that sign. Yeah. So the applicant is here with his business partner. And
I have a question for you, but as it is now, it can't be considered a mural because it has the...
correct.
Oh,
It's advertising. It's advertising the business that's there. Because that is the name of his business is Vintage Reclaim Lumber Company.
I'm Charles Twelves with Vintage Reclaim Lumber Company at 1125 Exchange, and I'll take any questions that you might have about this.
I have a question, doesn't really have anything to do with the application, but kind of tell us a little bit about the business. I mean, I know what Brown Machinery, they like rented scaffolding and stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
And so they had tons of scaffolding out there in the yard and everything. It wasn't exactly a tourist attraction or anything. So kind of tell us a little bit about your business.
So we have a two-part business. We have both a furniture manufacturing operation, which we have a shop on Northwestern at about 11th Street, and we build all different types of custom furniture. I have been doing this about 19 years, and we had been persuaded from our customers to offer our reclaimed lumber to the public and on a wholesale basis. And we attempted to do that at our other location. It was just ridiculous, the amount of traffic we would get, a lot of impulse stop-ins and people wanting to buy small quantities of lumber. So Mr. Sullivan, who recently purchased this property that was formerly Brown Machinery Company, and we have just turned it into a reclaimed lumber yard. It's quite popular right now. Good portion of what we do is an impulse. When they see the words reclaimed lumber and that's painted on the side of that wall, they want to just come see what it's all about. And we allow them to go through both our showroom there, we have a furniture showroom, and we have a lumber yard. And everything that we put into our custom furniture, you can purchase from us. So it's a pretty unique. We do a lot of business with architects and designers. We do sell nationwide. So the challenge that we have, of course, we lease the property, and we're not aware when we lease the property that there was going to be a closure of Exchange Avenue. So that once we found that out, of course, it was after the fact. And the gentleman that had actually painted the original Brown Machinery sign had stopped by to tell us about it and ask us if we wanted to do this sign. We did not investigate like we probably should have, but he had convinced us that it was, since the sign was there, it was actually grandfathered in. So we allowed him to paint first the Vintage Reclaim Lumber Company up there, and as he was completing that, he said, you need something else to give it some flair. So for not a whole lot of money, he added this flag, which is, as you can see, is a little larger than what we thought it was going to be when he started. Now, Exchange is an interesting street because when you're at the corner of Reno and Western, if you don't know about Exchange Avenue, you can look over there and you totally miss it. In fact, yesterday I had a person that was coming to our location, and when they were trying to use their phone, and they were driving around. They actually drove around a couple times. It's just a one-way street. If you're not real clear with where you're going, you'll miss it. Most of the business during the day that comes down Exchange, a lot of the concrete trucks, a lot of industrial business that comes down Exchange right now. So our forefront, like where we get most of our drive-by business, is actually from Western. And if you're not on Western and looking west, you miss us. If you happen to be fortunate enough to be at Western or Reno and heading south, and you're at that intersection and you stop, and you happen to look to that direction as you drive away, you'll catch a glimpse of this sign before you get to the Greek restaurant. and then it's kind of obscured there until you get to Blumenthal's, and if you look back, you'll see us. When this street closure goes in, you are going to have to go by one of our competitors, which is Urban Farmhouse. And even though we do a little lumber business with them, you're going to actually be forced to go up to 3rd and Western and cut back across and come back. So I'd like you to consider that. The sole purpose of actually putting this location in place was to accommodate the public's request for, to be able to purchase our material.
And I know these are his pictures that he provided today, and if I could flip through them because I'm not sure what else he included in here, if you guys wanted to see them. Okay.
Is staff worried at all that we're going to set some sort of dangerous precedent that, kind of like the combination of mural and sign, people like that have existing murals are going to want to print the name of their business across it or something? I mean,
We look at each case on its own merits, and I would say that didn't go into my thinking at all when I was putting this together.
Can we make 2 individual motions? Or do we have to treat this as one?
Oh, no, that's why I separated it out like I did,
Okay.
because you essentially have there's 4 different signs, although the 3 I've lumped together. So you could essentially treat each one differently. The other 3 had no issues, in my opinion, so that's why I lumped them together with.
Okay.
But you're welcome to have as many motions as you would like.
If you want a separate motion, I will move the approval of signs B, C, and D.
I have a motion by Mr. Dedman.
Yeah, I didn't understand what Paul said, so I hope I don't repeat it. But I drove by there a couple of times, and that's a very attractive sign. And for the type of business you're in, I think it's appropriate. It doesn't meet the square footage requirements, but it's going to be in an area, and I guess even more cut off in the future than it is now from anything that directly relates to the river. I don't see that as being any part of a tourist area. I'd hate to see that sign have to be painted over or removed.
I have a motion by Mr.
Right.
Dedman. I have a second
Oh, I didn't hear that.
by Mr. Howard. So, and this is for approval of B, C, and D.
Right, which is the address sign, the custom-made wood sign they want to put on the street facade, and the signage that's on the door.
Correct. No, that's my motion.
So on that motion, I have a motion and a second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, so we can move to sign A.
Correct. Now we're just dealing with the one that's in front of you, where I have several different options, or there could even be, if you could think of an option I didn't think of that you wanted to throw out there.
but we cannot just approve it without it going to the Board of Adjustment, though, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Because it clearly,
We'd just be making recommendations.
adding this square footage in with the other clearly exceeds the 165 square foot maximum allowed per Chapter 3, which is the sign regulations.
But we could be making a motion to recommend approval.
Correct. You'd actually be doing 2 motions if you wanted to do that. If you want to recommend some form of approval of this, and then it'd have a condition to get a variance, and then you'd have to make another motion about the Board of Adjustment, as outlined in the staff report.
Well, I will recommend. I will make a motion recommending approval to the Board of Adjustment for the larger sign.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so we're looking at 2A, which is
2A, we're gonna
which is
make a
the sign
motion.
as it is.
To approve the sign as it is. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Now we need to have a motion in
Right.
regards to,
Recommend approval to the Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
moved by Mr. Dedman, second by Mr. Doherty. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Okay. Item number 7 is other business, and there are no items. Item 8, under communication, administrative approval report. Comments from the planning department staff.
We have a meeting next month. You have either one item on the agenda, which is a pretty big one. There might be a second one that's kind of cropped up this morning. So check your calendars. Hopefully you can be there.
And what day is that?
That is September the 1st.
Okay. Item C is comments from the committee members. Okay. And our next meeting date is September 1st. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Dudden, second by Mr. Split. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.